Hi, boys and girls. Today's focus question is, what attributes help me sort shapes? And for us to answer that question, our first thought is, what are attributes? And then our second thought will be, well, what does sort mean? So let's get started in understanding those two words. Our first word is attributes, and attributes is describing parts of something. And then our word sort means organizing into similar groups or categories. So for us to be able to sort or organize into groups, we first have to think about the attributes or the similar parts that you may see or the different parts you may see within shapes. Let's get started. So let's look at these sets of shapes first. What do you notice? Well, boys and girls, I noticed that the shape on the left has an open space, while the one next to it does not have an open space. It actually has connected sides. Similar on this side, there's an open space, but then there's a shape with no open space. So I'm going to start sorting them into similar groups. I'm ready. So my left side actually has two shapes that have an open space, and these are called open shapes. And my shapes on the right have all connected sides with no open space. These are called closed shapes. So that's one attribute we can think about when we're thinking about sorting shapes. Remember, closed shapes are no open spaces and all ends are connected. So these two shapes in front of us, a circle and a triangle, are similar because they have the same attribute of a closed shape. Great, that's one attribute. Let's go to a next one. Now let's look at all these shapes. What do you notice? Well, if you said, I notice that some of them have straight lines and some of them do not have straight lines, well, guess what? You guys are totally correct. This one has no straight lines, just like this one, while the shapes on the right all have straight lines around its sides. So the second attribute to sort will be based on straight and not straight lines. A third attribute I want to think about is corners. And what are corners? Well, corners are where two lines meet. So what can you tell me about the shapes in front of you? That's right. Our first shape on the left has three corners, as you can see with the green circles. Our middle one has four, and our right one has four. So if I wanted to talk about sorting based on corners, the middle one and the right one are similar because both of them have four corners, while the one on the left has only three. Good, so now we know open and close. We know lines, straight lines, and not straight lines. And then now we know corners. So now, what attributes can we see to sort the shapes right in front of you? Let's think. Let's think about the corners that we might see that are similar. Or let's think about the straight lines. Or even about close and open. All right. So I started sorting these shapes. Couldn't wait to sort them. So let's look at the first group on the left. I noticed that these two shapes have three corners and three straight lines. So they're going to be in one category. They're going to be in one group because they're the same. Now let's look at the top one. These all look different, but actually they have the same attributes. All of them have four straight lines and four corners. Now I came across something different. The shapes on the bottom right have no straight lines and have no corners. So that's going to be in its own sorted group. And the last shape I could not fit with the other ones. However, this one has 5 straight lines and 5 corners. Now let's look at all the shapes. There is something similar about all these shapes. And that is all the shapes have an attribute of closed shapes. None of these shapes have any open space. So they're in their own category of all closed shapes. Now, boys and girls, I hope this discussion and this talk about different attributes helps you figure out which groups you can sort these shapes into based on their similarity. I hope this helped, and I will see you on the next one.